YouTube. You knew it was coming sooner or later. Turned out it was later. My Animal Crossing Switch Predictions / Speculations video. So as a massive fan of Animal Crossing, I've been waiting years for the next Animal Crossing game, and it's finally almost here. 2019, this year, we are getting Animal Crossing for the Switch. And we're currently counting the days, probably the hours, potentially minutes by the time you see this video, leading up to Nintendo's press conference, in which we will hopefully, theoretically, most likely, maybe be getting all of the big Animal Crossing Switch news, because we have very little right now. So I want to take a moment to share my predictions and my wish list for what I most want in the next Animal Crossing game. Here we go! Do I know how to do green screen by the time I edit this video? Dunno, you tell me. Animal Crossing isn't really known for having like a really deep lore, really strong storyline to it. It's not a story-based game, but there is something there. We have some stuff to work off of. Technically, where we left off in New Leaf, you, the villager, were the mayor of the game after Tortimer, the previous mayor, just kind of decided he didn't want to be mayor anymore and left, and maybe died. We don't really know for sure. I am, of course, only kidding. Tortimer is certainly alive and retired and happy on the island. He hangs out with Cap'n and his family all the time. However, it does go a little farther than that, because the villager, the mayor, is the same villager who ends up fighting in Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is only relevant because the announcement trailer that was used to put this game forward into the universe late last year introduced the new game while also talking about the new mayor, the old mayor. Oh god, confused already. In the trailer, he says, "I've got to make sure everyone has a nice new place to come home to when they're ready. Yes, I'm sure they'll be tuckered out after all that camping and smashing and whatnot, so it's back to work for me." There's a couple different ways to see this, and really all of them are thinking way too hard about it, but I'll do it anyway. In one, it sounds like the previous villager is still the mayor, and he'll go back to being the mayor, and then your new villager will just kind of be like a separate villager. I think that's extremely unlikely. I don't think that they're going to put another human mayor character into a game in which you're also there. That would be weird for Animal Crossing. I'm choosing to see it a little bit differently, specifically because of one of the lines that Tom Nook says. He says, "I've got to make sure everyone has a nice new place to come home to." Important. And I think in my mind that everybody means all of the mayors and Isabelle have a nice new home to come home to. So like essentially in your mind you can continue the story of New Leaf. You've been gone and you're coming back to this town and it looks fresh and new. I don't know how Tom Nook is making your town new again, but you know he has no problem with just wiping out the entire village as long as he can get a fresh mortgage payment out of everyone. All good. So really at the end of the day, I'm predicting that the game story is going to be very, very similar to New Leaf, in which you're arriving, you are the mayor or otherwise somehow in charge of this town and therefore in charge of layout, public works projects, and stuff like that. But we do know that we'll be starting with a clean slate, which I think is kind of obvious because Animal Crossing just doesn't work without a clean slate. The story aside, let's talk about some of the mechanics and other features that I'm expecting to see. From my perspective, New Leaf is basically the perfect Animal Crossing game, or very close to it. So I think that's basically the starting point for the Switch title, with other little mechanics and tweaks to make it better. And I apologize ahead of time to anybody watching this who hasn't played New Leaf. I'll do my best to explain things, but I'm kind of presuming you have a little bit of Animal Crossing knowledge. Also, New Leaf is a fantastic game. I have 900 hours in my game, and it is a $20 Nintendo Selects title for the 3DS. So if you have a 3DS and you haven't played New Leaf, shame on you. Moving on. First, let's look at the Wii U titles. There's actually 2 of them. For today's video, I'm basically going to ignore that City Folk on the Wii ever existed because I don't really like that game. So the Wii U did not give us a main Animal Crossing game. The But they did give us the Animal Crossing Plaza. It provided all of our beautiful villager friends walking around. You can click them, you can look at their likes and a little bit of their personality. You can favorite them, so they're there when you come into your village. But overall, it was like basically just a little app, a bit of eye candy with some really cute music. I've said this for a while, but I truly believe that this mainline Animal Crossing game has been in production for a long time. So the Animal Crossing Plaza came out all the way back in 2013, and those beautiful HD renders of every character have existed since then. It's my theory that those characters were created for the mainline game all the way back in 2013, even though it's now been 6 years since then. One possibility is that they were created for a mainline game at the Wii U. The Wii U ended up having not the longest product life, so it got kind of bumped up to the Switch. Very possible scenario. I just don't see why they would have bothered designing all of those beautiful animal friends just for this one barely interactive app. It's also possible that they made all of them for Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, but I'm going to say that's not the case, because I don't like that theory. But speaking of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, that is actually something really important to talk about too. Amiibo Festival only made one big contribution to the Animal Crossing world: Amiibo. A lot of the Amiibo came later from other titles like Happy Home Designer and Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. But Amiibo Festival is where it all spawned off of. So there are almost 20 Amiibo figures for Animal Crossing for you to collect. Good luck, have fun. Actually, they're really cheap, so if you want them, you should get them right now before any new usages are announced. If almost 20 Amiibo figures wasn't enough, they also have over 400 Amiibo cards. Yeah. These Amiibo cards were used mostly for New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. You could use them to actually get these villagers into your town, which was really, really cool. Where I'm going with this is, as someone with a large collection of Animal Crossing Amiibo and Animal Crossing Amiibo cards, I would be pretty shocked and upset if there's absolutely no way that they integrate with the new game. Considering the Switch is also an Amiibo-enabled console, it would be just a huge shame if there were, almost 500 in total scannable items, and Nintendo chose not to make them scannable for the series. At the same time, I don't think Nintendo's about to reprint 400 Amiibo cards, and maybe the Amiibo, but the figures are not villagers. They're NPCs. Well, everyone's an NPC, but they're the special villagers. So there's some trickiness involved here, because if they're not going to reprint 400 Amiibo cards, then there's going to be people who are just getting into the series who didn't get into the Amiibos previously, who want to now, who don't have access to them, meaning there's somewhere in between that has to be met, which is difficult. My speculation is that Amiibo cards and Amiibo figures will be scannable, but they will have vastly different features than they did in previous games. If I were to make a prediction, I'd say probably Amiibo cards will give you a piece of furniture or a piece of clothing for that animal, but not have the ability to move them into your town, at least not at the get-go. Kind of breaks the game if you can choose your villagers from the start. I just don't want to waste my very large investment on these collectible Animal Crossing cards. That's all. Moving slightly away from Amiibo, but to an Amiibo adjacent game. As you may recall, New Leaf was not the only 3DS Animal Crossing game. It was the only mainline Animal Crossing game for 3DS, but not the only one. In 2015, we got Happy Home Designer, which once again was not a mainline game, but did give us some new mechanics for designing in the game, which are kind of a big deal because design is a big facet of Animal Crossing. So there's 3 in particular features that I want to bring up that I think are going to come up in this new Animal Crossing game. And the first one are the mechanics for designing in rooms. Happy Home Designer really perfected the mechanics for designing. They use a grid system, you can drag and drop, you know when furniture can stack and when it can't, and also it lets you kind of squeak between the furniture. The camera angles are perfect, you can move them all over the place, and once you're fully designed, you get a cute little cutscene, you get to see everything. I don't think that this is possible to translate directly to Switch. It really uses the intricate touchscreen on the 3DS that you can't do so much with your fingers on the Switch. But something between this and what they have in Pocket Camp, I think is totally possible and probably will happen. The second thing from Happy Home Designer is yard decorations. So in Happy Home Designer, you actually got to decorate the yards for the villagers. I don't think that there's going to be heavy villager decoration intervention going on, but it would be great and I think very possible for us to decorate our own yards in this upcoming game. So finally, Happy Home Designer was the game that introduced us being able to customize our shared town buildings. In New Leaf, you were able to choose certain public works projects so that you could kind of customize your town around that a little bit. It was pretty limited. In Happy Home Designer, you actually get to design the insides of the public works projects, like the school. I don't think that that's something that will really carry over, although potentially, but what I do think will carry over is that in Happy Home Designer, you also get to customize the outside of your public buildings. So if you're going for a town that's completely red in theme, you might choose to have a red roof, red shutters on your public school, make everything match. It'll be beautiful. I would love this feature personally, as a person who just likes things to look cute. If I'm the mayor, I choose whatever color I want for my buildings. That's that. A lot of people probably won't like this, but I do have to talk about Pocket Camp. Pocket Camp is, of course, Animal Crossing's mobile game. Not everybody's into mobile games, and that's totally fine, but I am. I love. I'd start this little conversation by saying I really would not be worried about Nintendo doing massive integration with Pocket Camp. I don't think that there's going to be much of anything there, to be honest. It isn't something that they've done with the past with mobile titles like Fire Emblem Heroes or Mario Run. Pokemon Go is a special exception there. I won't count that. There will probably be a cute event within Pocket Camp to, celebrate the opening of whatever this new game is, but I wouldn't expect there to be any true integration between the two games at all. And the reason for that is really just that the mechanics do not fit together. The mechanics for Pocket Camp are extremely different than a mainline Animal Crossing game. There's not a lot that can kind of transfer over item-wise. I just don't think it would work out. But there is one particular thing in Pocket Camp that I want to call your attention to because I think it could work really well within the new title. So in Pocket Camp, you can actually purchase terrains when you can design what you want every area of your camp to look like. So that's background, foreground, what are the trees, your fence, what is everything how's it designed? If you are big or I guess even small into the Animal Crossing New Leaf community, you know that kind of the prevailing thing that's important for players is customizing your town in general, the layout of it, where are people camping, where are people putting their homes, making sure that it's in the right spot and that there's not a rock in the stupid place and stuff like that. And of course, laying out the tiles all over the ground so that you have a beautiful themed town. For me personally, the tile system, I do not like it. I find it really not fun. I always end up kicking them up, doing something wrong, getting really frustrated by it. I don't like putting out tiles. I think they look not as good as they could, like with the Pocket Camp terrains. So I'd love to see something like that making its way onto this next title. And so those are all of the predictions that I pulled kind of from other places that they already exist, but now some predictions that are not existing. The one main thing that always comes up from every prediction is new animal types for villagers. For me personally, I want to see bats. Everyone wants bats. I agree. Bats are adorable. They'll fit in great. I would also like ferrets. I think they could look kind of like Pasquale, but just maybe more ferrety. Another thing, I would like to see more individuality, more personality types, more kind of unique stories, background stories, things that, you know, one villager will say and nobody else will repeat it. I'd like to see more of that because right now there's not actually a ton of individuality. There's a ton of personality types, but not that like that one thing that makes them different other than looks. Even if each villager had like, I don't know, 3 lines that no other villager had, I realize there's like several hundred villagers, so writing 3 lines for each one individually is kind of difficult, but I have faith that the people over at Nintendo and Treehouse could do, no problem could do that. Next, I want to see more interactive options for when you're visiting with friends who are offline. In New Leaf, you got to go to this kind of dream village version of your friend's house. If you had their code, you could go visit them. Didn't even have to be a friend. It could be a random person you found on the internet who posted their code. But you could see everything about their town, and that was cool. I like having that, but I'd really like to see something with just a hair more interactivity. I don't want people to be able to come to my town and like tear up my flowers or leave crap everywhere, but I would like it if they could leave like a note on a message board, or if they could just say like, yep, liked your town a lot, a little more clearly than in past games or than in New Leaf. You can get a taste of that in Pocket Camp. People can water your flowers and leave things for you during events, but it's not the same. My big thing for Animal Crossing is I always want more furniture. I'm a furniture collector. I really prioritize filling out my catalog and making sure that I've owned every piece of furniture so that I can go back and buy it later on. So more furniture, give it all to me, like several hundred more sets. I'll be happy. Thanks. I'd also like to see some more calendar-based events. There's quite a few there already, so I'm not saying every single day should be an event. I don't think that's the case. But I think like just a few more would be good. It would also be really cool if whatever ends up being the multiplayer, whether it's people visiting me or me visiting other people or visiting strangers, whatever it is, it would be really cool if we could participate in events together. For example, trick-or-treating on Halloween. That would be super fun to go to a friend's town and trick-or-treat. Speaking of multiplayer, I'm horrified. I'm scared to even get into what this multiplayer is going to be because I don't know. I actually thought the New Leaf multiplayer was handled pretty well, and if they did something similar for the Switch version, I'd probably be okay with that. I just want whatever's easiest for me to be able to visit my friends' villages and for my friends to be able to visit mine and for nobody to mess up all of my hard work of laying out my town that I've done. These are less turning into predictions and more just my wish list at this point, but I really want something to fix/replace the island in New Leaf. In New Leaf, you could travel to the island in a kind of random multiplayer mode. Problem was there was some pretty bad hacking going on, and people can do things to corrupt your save file if you don't know what's happening and you pick up an item or you get trapped on that. So there's some weird stuff that can go on. So A, if you're still playing New Leaf, please be careful on the island. But B, I really hope that whatever happened there is A, not going to happen on Switch, but B, also not going to scare Nintendo from doing too much with multiplayer. And then my final prediction is that Nintendo's not going to change that much. They know what Animal Crossing is. They know what works for Animal Crossing. They really got it right with New Leaf, and it really hit off, and I think Nintendo knows this works. Let's not mess that up. I really don't think that Nintendo is going to stray far from what makes Animal Crossing Animal Crossing. They've given us a number of non-mainline games. They know that those weren't what we were waiting for, and that this is what we're waiting for. So I think We're gonna get something that is traditional, but tweaked in ways that we like. And that's what's important to me. So I am so stoked for hopefully all of the Animal Crossing announcements that we need happening on this week's Nintendo Direct. Tuesday. It's at noon Eastern time. I'll put all the details down below. If for some reason Nintendo doesn't talk about Animal Crossing, I will probably be sitting at my computer crying. So you'll know because I'll be talking about it on Twitter. That'll be fun. But I choose to have faith that will not be the case and that we'll get all of the news we need and a release date, which will still be in 2019, and I'll be super happy. Optimism. It's healthy. Tell me down below what you think is coming for Animal Crossing or what you really, really, really want to see. I think I've talked more than enough on the subject, so I'm gonna maybe get some sleep before E3, stuff starts happening. Maybe. Thanks for watching and subscribing and liking and all of the really nice things that you do. Love you. Mwah. Diku, diku, diku. Dun 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 dun.